Viserion the Dragon White is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Viserion the Dragon from Game of Thrones television show. I'm not a big collector of the show. I do love the show. It's phenomenal, but my Game of Thrones collection tends to be more towards the book stuff, games, books. This is actually my very first Game of Thrones action figure because no one's ever made any that are purely based on the books. So this is from the first wave of this line of figures, and the characters are actually not in scale with the dragons. The characters are like 7-inch, probably like 1/10 scale, maybe they're 1/12, I don't know, but the dragon's probably more like 1/50th scale. So, this is going to be a lot smaller than the figures that are in the same line, but it's really cool. And I think it was on Action Figure Blues podcast, they mentioned that that they thought McFarlane was going to be doing some other dragons, like maybe they did some in the past and they're going to be like continuing this. So that would be kind of cool to get some other dragons from other properties and stuff too. And I'll definitely be getting Drogon because this figure is really nice. I like it a lot. It is an action figure. It does have posability, and I'll get to that in the articulation. So you have some pretty cool options for posing this guy. Pretty sweet little product for $25 in my opinion. I got it at Target, and if I see Drogon at Target, I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I won't hesitate for that. The characters in the line, I don't know, maybe I might pick them up if they're on clearance or if I get a deal or something like that, but I'm not chasing them really, but I might chase these dragons. These are pretty cool. All right, so taking a look at the packaging here, it comes in a box with a window, and it's got Game of Thrones on the front, and then a picture of the dragon. I think this is like the prototype sculpt or something, because I don't see the articulation in the photo, or they photoshopped the articulation out, but it's not a shot from the show. I'm pretty sure it's the product. Some HBO branding, get the name of the dragon on the side there. And then you get the other figures in the wave. So you got Jon Snow, Daenerys, the Night King, and Arya in this wave. When I was at Target, I saw Jon and Arya. I did not see Daenerys or the Night King. And then another shot, another angle of the dragon, and back to the front. So decent packaging. I like the box well enough. All right, so getting into the sculpt, paint, and details on this guy, he is really good looking figure. Just take a look at the scales and sculpt work just throughout the entire body on this guy. Really nicely done. This thing looks great. You can see there's a lot of depth of color, of shading throughout. And it has that icy feel to it, so it's almost like frosted over the top, and it gives it a real sense of the kind of the storyline of this dragon. I'm not going to talk too much about the plot because some people haven't watched the season 7 yet, but yeah. So the eyes are painted a nice icy blue. You can see inside the mouth there. There's a little bit of you can see the tongue basically, and a little bit of the teeth painted on there. There's some claws sculpted and painted really nicely. It's kind of hard to get this thing in the shot and get close-ups, but you can see the fins along the ridges along the spine of the tail there, and just really nice. And let me see if I can get these wings in the shot. You can see how the wings look. So we'll just take a look at this side, this wing on this side. Look at that. You got holes sculpted in there. And then you have the skeletal structure showing. And, very sort of almost like bat-like, dragon-like wings with some of that same kind of sculpting going on in paintwork. But lots of depth in color. And, it's not a colorful figure, but the color is really nice. Sort of a slight bluish, mostly gray. The blue's not coming over really well, I don't think, in the video, but some lighting it looks very blue. You can see the ridges on his back. Sorry if this is an awkward video. It's my first time doing something this style. It's a very unwieldy thing to mess around with, but really nice, really beautiful looking figure. And this might be a little tricky, but to give you a sense of the size of this thing, you'll see it's very small. It's probably like a foot wide at the wingspan, maybe like a little more, maybe 15 inches or so. But here's a Mythic Legion's skeleton, and then here's a boss fight skeleton. So you can get a kind of a sense of, it's not in scale with those things really. It might be a small drake or something in those worlds, but it's definitely not like dragon size. Like neither of these guys are riding that thing. And Viserion comes with one accessory, pretty much. I mean, it's got the stand, which I'll show you in a minute, but it's got an ice breath attack that is sculpted, molded in a clearish blue plastic that kind of transitions from blue to clear. And then over the top of it, there's that same kind of frost dry brushing over the surface areas. So looks really nice. And when you put it in the dragon, it fits pretty well. So looks pretty cool in there. It's coming right at you. And then the stand has almost like it's on an icy terrain right there. And then this is just a metal rod that goes up, and there's a ball at the top that pegs into the base of the dragon, into his chest right here. There's a ball right there. And then that pegs right in. And it sits on there nicely. It can be a little floppy depending on where the weight is resting. If it's forward or back, it might flop forward or back, but there is a little bit of tension, so you can kind of get it into some different positions. So it works out pretty well. I guess one thing I wish that it maybe had was a second rod of a different length. I think that would have been cool to have it just a little bit lower, but otherwise I think the height's pretty good. Okay, let's talk about articulation. So the neck at the base here can swivel like that. And then coming down the neck, there's a ball joint there, and then there's a ball joint at the head. So you can get a pretty good range and get it looking in a few different directions like that, right? Or back the other way. You can have them looking up a little bit like that, and then looking down a little bit like that. And then the wings, there's a ratcheted hinge at the wings, and then it rotates at the base of the wing too. So he can have wings up. My ratchets aren't always like the strongest. It's not like the tightest joint there. But if I kind of gently rest it, it'll stay up. And if I put it in a different angle and have the weight bearing it, it'll be fine. I just wish that was a little bit tighter right there because it's a little loose. And then on this side over here, my hinge seems to be a little tighter, but also the rotation is super tight. Like I feel like I'm not necessarily rotating it, but the plastic is like flexing. I don't love that, but I can get it to work, so not too crazy. But again, it's a little loosey-goosey in the ratchet. I do appreciate the ratchet points, but they're not quite doing the job the way they're supposed to. And then the legs are just on a swivel. So you can have them like in attack mode, or you can have them in like flying mode. And then the tail, one more kind of loose ratchet joint right here. It can hinge, it can swivel back and forth. And then there's a couple ball joints, one here, and then one on the end. So the tail can go up, or it can swing down in a few different ways. So, you can have him wings down, you can have him flying, wings up like this. A lot of good different options for posing. So it's a really cool figure. And for $25, I think this is a steal. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be getting Drogon when he comes out. It's a different pose. He's not on a flight position. He's like standing on the ground. Like his base is like he pegs into the base or something like directly. So we'll see what kind of articulation that one has. I'm assuming it'll be bigger because I think Drogon is the biggest one. At least he is in the books. But So yeah, so this is a pretty cool figure. Thanks for watching my review. Be sure to check out my other videos. I have videos on Mythic Legions. I have videos on the movie realization, Star Wars, samurai figures, Mezco, lots of good things. SH Figure Arts. Check it out. Subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, may the Force be with you. DorkLair!